Welcome back to the Tailosive EV podcast, ladies and gentlemen. I'm once again joined by Nick and Randy, and the Fremont factory appears to be open, which is news for us since last week's episode.
This is true.
Hang on, Pinky. It sounds like money's being made.
Ooh.
Of some kind.
Randy's over
I wanted
here
to talk to
sipping
you guys
his espresso.
about this immediately once I heard the news, because I
Right.
feel like I can understand frustration on both sides.
Yes.
And I don't know if Elon handled it the way I would have done it myself, but I see why he did it, and there was probably more advice from legal teams that helped them come to the decision that they were going to open the factory against the rulings of the county. So what did you guys think? Was this a good move, smart move, bad move, all of the above?
I think execution was a little rocky. You know, I think the landing, he didn't stick to the landing, you know. There has to be good follow through. I understand why he did it. I think we even talked about it last week. Like, I understand his point of view. I get it. Yes. With that being said, there's a certain decorum about when you start entering the politics of your specific region, county, and stuff like that. And I don't know if it's going to end well ultimately. Like, bad PR, there's no such thing. It's all PR, right? Everything's like publicity is publicity. It has Tesla in the news, which is always a good thing. But I don't know. I don't know if this is normally I have a pretty good idea. It's like, oh no, that's a good move. Oh, that's going to bite him in the ass. I don't know how this is going to play out, to be honest. This has me very concerned.
can't decide.
Yeah. And his whole shtick is that, fine, then I'm leaving. Huh. Like, okay. I don't think when it comes to California as a state or the county that it operates out of, that like, well, if you're going to hold the last manufacturer in California over our head, we're going to choose the safety of our people than your stupid company. And that's how they'll push that narrative, and it'll work, because as it is, like, nationally, we're still in lockdown in some form. So it doesn't look good for Tesla, but I get it. Business wise, I totally get it. And I'm right there with Elon. Execution was kind of crap.
How do you think they could have nailed the execution better and kind of Falcon 9'd this landing?
I would have put out a very, very different press release to an official website, kind of like, hey, we are committed about the safety of our people. With that being
They did do that.
They did do that.
Blog post. Yeah.
Stop there.
That's it. That's all you do.
Elon did not need to go and do that. He did not need to go and make a big unless there's a third degree of like marketing I'm not thinking about that helps benefits the attention of Tesla.
Randy. Elon can do no wrong ever. Elon
You're
is the
sick.
perfect.
You're
Perfect.
sick.
Elon has never done anything wrong. Anything Elon ever does is perfect 100% of the time. And
just gave
I
me
will stand by
diarrhea.
any of his tweets ever, including the ones that are not good. Because, oh my gosh, Elon is bringing the future to
that are not
today, tomorrow to today, and Elon deserves our support. Thank you for coming
That's
to my
it?
TED Talk.
Where's the sarcasm break?
There's no sarcasm. I love Elon.
Disgusting.
No,
Because I recall you texting me WTF as soon as he tweeted that out.
I did, and you know, whatever. It's a show, guys. Come on, give me a break. You
What
know,
happened to Elon?
I have to counterbalance Randy's good points with insanely craziness.
It's like a white.
Elon's autobiography could have been called "Shouldn't Have Tweeted That," because there's a whole lot of situations throughout his life where it was just like, yeah, well, if he wouldn't have tweeted, this would have been better. But I think Elon's historically always had a disconnect between how he feels and what he thinks and what he tweets. And once people always sit him down and interview him, it seems to be a lot more logical and reasonable than what we get.
Go
out
to
of his
Joe
Twitter
Rogan
account.
every time you want to say something, and then just let it sort itself out. Just put down the blunt.
Yeah, it comes down to being more calm, and I understand Tesla's frustration because a lot of people, I think, are easy to assume that Elon makes all these decisions single-handedly all by himself, when in reality there's team decisions being made here. It doesn't sound like it's just Elon thinking of these things. It sounds like the blog post was not even written by Elon. Like the whole company's making these big choices and big moves, and they knew, like, hey, companies and businesses are opening up as deemed essential. And as the joke I've always made throughout the weeks, like, ice cream shops are opening, but you're not allowed to build your electric vehicles, which are trying to accelerate our usage of sustainable energy. So you probably feel neglected, especially when you went through COVID-19 in China and you were able to run the factory at full force without people getting sick or dying, and you were able to keep it clean. And you're just like, okay, we're going to take what we learned there and bring it here. And then some county official's like, nah. That's not enough. And then you ask, well, what is enough? What do we need to do? And they say
0 deaths ever.
I don't know. We need to wait longer, or you got to wait till June. So I'm guessing the legal team probably saw some balance of, okay, here's what they could fine us with if we ignore them, and here's how much money we lose if we follow them. And eventually there came this crossing point where they were like, okay, the money we're going to lose now from not being open is going to be more so than the fine they will give us for opening early. So
even then, I don't think they're going to get fined. I don't.
Really?
It's
not even a slap on the wrist?
Maybe
a demerit?
a public memo that says, yeah, 1 demerit from the county, and you don't want to receive 6 of those because then you'll get a full destagulation.
Tesla pulls a red card.
I don't even know what you just said.
It's like kindergarten where they have to switch from green to yellow cards.
Exactly.
It's like,
don't call my parents.
Don't call.
Whatever you do, stop. Don't put the phone down.
Yeah, because they did have the green light from the president, the federal government, the state government, and the governor.
Yep.
Just the county.
If the county decides to push this, it's going to go up to the the 9th District Court in California, and I don't see it going anywhere past there. Like,
probably because if the county pushed them for a fine, then that would be the last straw of Tesla being like, okay, well, we're leaving for good now, because it's costing us money to work here.
Now we're really leaving.
Yeah.
We were really living before, but now we're really leaving. I just find it interesting, though, that like the county decided to push for this so hard. Like, obviously became an internet meme and kind of blew up on the internet quickly. But I don't understand. Like, he's not forcing the workers to come back to work. Like, it's only at a third capacity right now or something, and the employees that are there, I saw a few videos, one video in particular on Twitter, of this Tesla employee who was like, they brought in extra buses so that we don't have to sit next to each other on the bus. They are spacing us all out, and he had very positive things to say about it. And I was like,
separate lunches, people can't have lunch together,
and it's not like they're forcing anyone to come back to work, and that's kind of the balance that we need to find, in my opinion. That there needs to be some balance between safety and precaution, but also allowing people to do what the heck they want. And Elon Musk obviously decided here that he wanted to open up the factory, so that's what Elon Musk did.
Well, I mean, Tesla's a business, and it needs to. From a business point, I totally get it. Like, nobody wants to stay shut down any longer than they need to. My wife's barber shop thing, which is a franchise, is pushing very quickly to be open come Monday, and they do hair, right? Like that is a high risk environment.
That's as close as it gets.
Yeah, and there's all these precautions that are trying to make people take. But my point is that like from a company standpoint, from a business standpoint, especially a public company that is like, hey man, like you did good last earnings call, barely. Something needs to happen yesterday, and I get why he wanted to get operational again. I'm in favor of them becoming operational because I stayed operational this whole time, and we found remedies for it, working from home and stuff like that, doing other things where people stagnate, going on site to things. It's possible. It's been possible since March, and it's not like a new concept. What Elon did is, I think, very responsible from a business point about getting Tesla back. All right, let's go. I get that. I endorse that. how he did it is just that's the you know.
He played dirty a little bit. But it could be because he saw government officials tweeting, F Elon.
And I get it.
That ticked him off.
And I get it. Hey, welcome to the land of the free, right? Like, say what you got to say. I support that 100%. I don't have to agree with it, but just do what you got to do, boy. But, like, as a shareholder, though, stop hurting my stock.
Well, I was going to say, though, reopening of the factory did not appear to hurt the stock price that much.
No, it didn't.
So saying him tweeting that Tesla stock price is too high tanked the stock far more than opening it illegally against the county's wishes. So in that way, like, I think in this particular instance it was justified, but you don't want to set a dangerous precedent in the future of companies being able to just ignore and bypass certain laws because
say,
obviously
screw you,
there's a
we're
bunch
doing
of
it
laws.
anyway. That's
yeah.
problematic.
You don't want you wonder if the county's going to try to make Tesla an example and just be like, okay, well, they were right to open, but we also don't want companies comfortable with the idea of just ignoring law and doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
It wasn't a law, though. It was a policy. It was a county-level policy.
What's the difference?
One has the force of law, and the other one has the force of a policy.
They both can come with a fine.
They can both come with a fine. They can both come with bad things. But law is made by publicly elected officials, people who are responsible to the electorate. But this kind of policy that was made by the Alameda County Health Director, I don't know what the title was, but the person who made this policy in Alameda County was an unelected health official, which, that's kind of where I drew the line, was like, well, this person is not, they're going to have a job in 5 years no matter what they do here, right? Like, they're not going to get fired because they didn't do what the people wanted. They're not directly responsible to the people at the end of the day.
Okay. That's a good point. I didn't know the difference. Thank you. I was unaware. So I can understand that justification a little bit better in that point. That's why they kept emphasizing that they were unelected through all the tweets and stuff like that. But how many vehicles do you think they're going to build in Q2? I know last episode we had the debate about profitability. Randy thinks they will still retain profits, right? Do you still stand by that?
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
Do you want to change your answer, Nick?
I still think that they're going to have a slight loss. It's probably going to be their last major loss.
I think I agree with Nick this time around.
I totally get that stance. I
just think they're going to pull through somehow.
I do. I genuinely think they're going to pull through, but your logic there, Nick, is very sound, and I mean it's the most logical one.
Randy's saying something nice about me, guys. Screenshot this, and
it's
we need to remember this
espresso.
moment.
I'm in a good mood now. I had my coffee.
He saved it for the EV podcast because he knew no one would listen.
Here, you could be my best friend again. On tech, I got to roast you to not like.
Randy sucks.
Yeah, you suck, Nick.
That got so touching and so hurtful so fast.
I know.
So my personal prediction, because if they're opening up slowly at Fremont and Giga Shanghai is ramping production very quickly, I think they're coming up on like over 12,000 vehicles a month. I'm predicting that Q2 they will produce around 75,000 vehicles. Hold me to it. That's my guess.
Okay, 75,000 vehicles.
Write that down, Nick.
In Q2?
Q2.
Okay, or all year. Okay.
All year, that's a different discussion. They didn't change their guidance of they expected to surpass 500,000 vehicles produced in 2020, but they didn't change that after the Q1 earnings call. They were like, yeah, we're not going to say no, but we're also not going to say we're still expect. They left it the same.
Oh,
so
what a PC answer.
Different, yeah. Different discussion entirely. I'll lean a bit more towards Randy and think they'll still surpass 500,000 vehicles produced in 2020 because I think Q3 and Q4 are going to be huge with Giga Shanghai and potentially Giga Austin, but that's a separate topic. But I think they're ramping Model Y extremely quickly, and Q3 and Q4 always do better than Q2 and Q1. So with that in mind, I think they'll still hit 500K by the end of the year, but just barely. It'll be like 500,001 vehicles.
How do you guys think 2001.
I
How
like
do you
that.
guys think the economic impact is going to impact the demand for Teslas? Because currently, I think up until, since Model 3 ramp until now, Tesla has never seen a slump in demand. They've always been able to sell every car that they make. But part of me wonders because, I think it's safe to say we're kind of in a recession right now. Even if, we had a cure for coronavirus yesterday, it would still take a year and some change to get the country's economy kind of going back in the right direction. So I'm wondering if the kind of downturned economy that we're in is changing people's purchasing thoughts. Maybe they had $15,000 for a down payment on a new Model Y, but they have a stable job right now or whatever, and maybe they're thinking, well, maybe I shouldn't be taking on $70,000 worth or $40,000 worth of debt to buy this fancy car. My old one works okay. I would predict the production might be available for 500,000, but I don't think the demand's there for 500,000 right now. Maybe in a few months it'll get better, and I really hope it does, because I'm a big fan of Tesla and the rest of the economy. But just with
I didn't know.
I know. I'm a big fan of having money in the economy. Congratulations, everyone. But yeah,
I think,
what do you guys think about that?
I think the majority of people that are in the market for a Tesla have probably not been impacted that heavily. I think there's a lot of people that have been impacted by the recession, and the economic downturn will impact that, but I think it'll be more so on people that weren't in the market for $40,000 EVs anyway.
You
I think the
sound
bulk of,
like me from last week. I'm so impressed, Drew. I have swayed
They
you.
might take a little bit of a hit, but every single year there's been Model 3 price adjustments and stuff like that. So I'm guessing that Tesla would act on a slump in demand if they needed to, if they wanted to push inventory, because there's still, I'm guessing, a pretty high profit margin right now as they're building more in Giga Shanghai, which apparently it's way cheaper to build cars there anyway. And as they're ironing things out and simplifying assembly and stuff like that, I bet they could, if they needed to, shift some vehicle prices around to make people want to upgrade, whether it be lower the price of the Model 3 or near the end of the year introduce standard range Model Y, which they're collecting a huge profit on the Model Ys right now just because of the redesigns and the simplicity of Monroe teardowns that showed us like the fewer parts they've had and stuff like that. So I think there's room for them to be more competitive if they want to. They don't need to be more competitive right now because that's not the holdup. The holdup is production. But if they suddenly had more surplus of supplies, they could very, very easily turn that around and be like, okay, guys, now everything's cheaper. Now Model 3 Standard Range Plus off on the website starts at $35,000, and here's the Standard Range Model Y at $39,000, and they could just boom blow up the market and everyone go, holy crap, these are way cheaper than they used to be, and that'll make everyone who bought one upset. But if they really want to push inventory, they can. But since there is no demand problem, they're not doing that yet.
I feel like I go on record of the same way saying that the clientele that Tesla attracts is not the person who goes paycheck to paycheck, and for the most part, I mean, obviously,
You'd
there's
be surprised. That's my counter here.
Listen. Here's my exception. I know somebody's exception. Our you know what? Never mind. I'm not even going to name him. We know him. He got a Tesla, and I was like, I don't know if that was a good idea. But think about it for a second. You know who I'm talking about. Y'all know who I'm talking about.
I'm genuinely thinking. I'm trying to remember.
He was very closely affiliated with you there, Drew.
Oh, Nick.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, can we not say his name?
I don't know.
I bought the biggest Model
Nathan.
3.
Nathan, what's up, buddy?
Nathan bought a Tesla.
He leased
we had
it.
Him on...
All right, or he bought it.
No, he bought it. It was a loan.
It
wasn't a lease.
Oh, okay.
It was a loan, but he got in a car accident and the insurance. He's fine, by the way. The insurance covered the entire price of the vehicle.
Oh my goodness.
And he got basically all his money back on the Model 3, and now he doesn't have one.
My point exactly. Okay. People who are paycheck to paycheck will not hold on to their. Oh my goodness, I did not know. I hope he's okay.
Did I never tell you that?
No.
Oh my god, I feel bad. I'm opting Nathan now. It wasn't. I'm trying to remember. I don't think it was his fault. Essentially, he bought a standard range, like cheapest possible,
right.
Base color, base everything, no full self driving. He bought a Model 3, drove it around, liked it, for I think 6 or 7 months, and then got in an accident, and it was totaled. It was not like a slight fender bender, and then but he was fine. All the airbags went off. It wasn't his fault. So the insurance covered the entire price of the vehicle, and I think a little bit more than what he paid. And so he basically got all his money back, and then afterwards decided, it wasn't that big a deal, and for his uses, he didn't need to keep. I think he was scared from the remainder of the loan. He didn't want to just keep paying for it for years and years and years and have all that interest. So he saw this as kind of an easy way to rethink the purchase and decided, you know what, I'll wait. Because he was really interested in the Cybertruck and the Model Y. So he was like, you know what, I'll just hold off. I'll take the money.
Oh, my gosh. No, Nathan, but learn from me. Like, maybe you save up some money. Don't go into another loan.
I think he is. I don't know if he's listening to this, but...
All right, Nathan.
I think he's waiting on Cybertruck or Model Y or something.
There you go. Okay, well, real quick caveat, just so I can put it out. I don't know. The insurance person in me is, even if you're at fault, if your car's totaled, if you have the insurance for it, it'll cover for it. Liability has nothing to do with coverage. So if something happened, even if it was Nathan's fault,
price hikes later on would.
That has to do with your premium, with you doing your business with the insurance company. It has nothing to do with coverage. It's just how much of a liability you become at that point will mandate the premium for it at that point. If you're a young guy and don't have much of a driving record, everybody's kind of a high risk because you're uncertain of that person or of that demographic. But liability, even if you're found out fault for being in an accident, has nothing to do with coverage. If you have adequate coverage for your vehicle, then you're taken care of. 2 years at Geico done something for me. So
what
anyway,
was the point we were getting at? Like the market
my point that I'm trying to say, I went 5 steps over. One, I am happy Nathan's okay. Cool. Awesome. Now, the demographic that Tesla genuinely appeals to are people who can afford to buy brand new cars, not somebody, I think I said last week, $11,000 car or something like that. That's not their market. That's not who they're aiming for now. If people in that demographic are trying to get a Tesla, that's on them. That has nothing to do with Tesla. I don't think there's going to be an impact economically with the company meeting their demand because the people who can afford it still can afford it. With that being said, though, I will say that I think people. Nick brought up a point that I do agree. There's a natural flinch I think everybody's doing right now, a hesitation about, do I really need this right now? Because I don't think you can make an argument that somebody needs a Tesla or any EV for that matter, or a new vehicle for that matter. If I did not get
shut up. Everyone needs a Tesla, Randy, and you know it.
I will only speak for myself, but I will also say before Tesla,
I'm joking.
I was an advocate.
Right.
I'm an advocate for used vehicles because I don't think a gasoline vehicle is worth a new car price. Like, there's so much marketing that goes into that cost and that whole thing. I don't like buying new cars. So I don't know. I don't think they're going to be affected by the economics of it, but I do think there will be a natural hesitation right now because people had time to think, like, hey, are you sure you want to buy this? Oh, do I? I mean, Drew's a perfect example. He had the money saved. He goes, or I can make an adult decision and pay off my house.
Yeah, but that wasn't impacted from the virus or anything. That was just me.
No, I know, but like,
I know what you're saying.
You're my example.
Everyone's
that's your dream car, and when you're on record saying that, like, it's a whole lot different when you actually see, like, oh, I could afford this right now, and then you start thinking about it real quickly. And I think that's a very mature thing to do, and I think a mature mindset would have the same consideration. What they do from that point, is up to them. But I think a natural hesitation is a mature, healthy consideration. Yeah.
Agreed, it's mature. I don't. But will that flinch impact the sales of the vehicles that much over the course of this year? I don't think that much. There might be a little bit, but there's probably a huge population of people with decent incomes that are like, okay, these are qualifiable incomes of people that can buy a Tesla. These are the potential customers that haven't that haven't pulled the trigger yet. I think a small chunk of those people are the ones that are going to have that flinch and rethink the purchase because of things that have happened of the recession. Like, there will be a lot of people second guessing, do I need to make a purchase like this if there's so much uncertainty? But the thing is, with things opening up again and people going back to work and so much, like, no, it's not necessarily normal because we don't get to go out and celebrate or go to events or, as much human-to-human interaction. But yeah, when it comes to like working though, and businesses reopening and allowing people to make an income and a living again, that part of normalcy is slowly coming back for a lot of people. And I think that the bulk of the curve or whatever has kind of taken its course, and it may impact the short term, maybe quarter two a little bit, but for the whole performance of the year, I think it will still surpass 500,000.
I don't know if you guys heard about this. I think Nick might be aware. When it comes to getting loans or getting any type of credit issued to you, there is high talk of there's a change that's coming down the pipeline here about how people get approved for loans or credits of any capacity, where once we come out of this recession, and I can see this obviously happening with vehicles because they're big purchases, people might not qualify to get a loan to get a car. Yeah. No more than certain. I'm hearing certain credit card issuing companies they might not qualify for that because they're considering changing how to issue credit to people based off of proof of income. Now you can't just put whatever you make randomly. There's going to be you have to provide tax supporting returns. Document of proof of income. And if somebody like I don't know, random person A wants to go to apply to get a loan, even in-house from Tesla, saying I want to finance to get the Model Y right now, looks good. They might their proof of income might not qualify for them even at a high interest rate to get them a $40,000 loan to get the car based off of what you have to provide. You have to show certain things. Now that's not the case today, but there's a lot of chatter happening that's very probable that's going to come down sooner than we think about people just being issued credit, loans, credit cards, you name it, house loans too. I mean, it's the same thing when you go try to get finance for a house. You have to provide proof of income. They're going to implement that same policy to smaller purchases as well, but same configuration. So maybe that's why it won't affect Tesla when it comes to ordering, because you have to show that you qualify for that up front.
I think I mentioned this last week, though, that Tesla is not holding the debt on any of these loans.
Right.
Did I talk about that this week, or was that off air?
That was last week.
It goes to Bank of America, or at least mine would have. I remember.
Yeah, I think they work with 3 or 4 different banks.
Yeah.
Right. Don't you have an announcement about loans and Teslas, Randy?
Yes, I do. At least on air in video format. Hi. Hello, Randy Vasquez here. Proud owner of a Tesla for 11 months. And 11, actually, on 29
July,
days from
right?
now. 29 days from today will be my 1-year anniversary, the 1-year birthday of my car. And I am proud to announce that we're literally just waiting for underwriting at this point. For all intents and purposes, I am going to be completely Model 3 loan paid off, debt-free, and I paid it off in under a year.
Wow. Woo! Well done. You are now officially Tesla.
Yes.
I thought you guys were going to dance. Why was I the only one who danced?
Oh, sorry. There you go. There's my dance.
He didn't cure cancer. He just paid off his car.
I just paid off my car. It's not as noteworthy as paying off my condo, but it is a step in the right direction. And I'm extremely excited because I have this euphoria of like, all right, I'm never doing that again. This was a painful year of me just having to, penny pinch certain things about, just my lifestyle. And
you're never doing a car loan again.
No.
Is that what you mean?
I will never take out one. If my wife does, we'll have a conversation and we'll actually have a plan because her financial situation is just a little bit different than mine. But
okay. Well, that's a different discussion because when do you think you would get another car? You yourself. Long time, right?
45 maybe or something. I don't know.
2045. Wow.
2055.
Wow. 2055.
No, wait, 35. Yeah, 35. 2035. I forget
So
how old I am.
15 years from now?
15 years from now, but I am now that the car is about to be paid off. For all intents, the car's paid off. I'm just waiting for it to be like official, post it.
Yeah.
When I get title in hand, I've never had a title in hand before, and just the thought of like I don't have this over my head anymore. So good. I don't think I have any interest in buying another car. A year later, yes, the Model Y looks great. We'll cover it. I'm sure we'll talk about it later. But the fact that in China they're doing different alterations to the Model 3 that I would love to see here.
Seriously, what the heck? What was up with that?
unless I could take it in and they for a day and they
why don't they
swap
swap out? Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
For those who don't know what we're referring to, I'll reiterate. The Model 3 made in China is gaining a lot of the Model Y interior benefits, like built-in wireless charging by standard, USB-C ports in the back instead of USB-A, which some people don't like for some reason, and USB-C as well in the front where the USB ports is. There's still one USB-A port in the front, but sounds like, they're also doing the CA. It sounds like they're going to do the CATL batteries. We'll find more out about that on Battery Investor Day. But the new battery chemistry that they're working on will be implemented in China first.
Of course.
Nice.
Not North America.
With all that being said, though, I love my version of everything that it has there. If I don't get to upgrade anything and take it in, I'm still okay. I'm content. I'm happy with the existence of it, how it is today. If I can take it in and get some of those upgrades internally in the cab, the most important thing is the stuff.
I doubt they'll allow that.
I know,
it would be great.
But if I could, that's maybe $1,000, $2,000. I can very easily save up and budget and plan for that, as opposed to, worrying about a monthly payment that goes towards the car loan.
Or
and stuff like
you could get the acceleration boost.
Hey.
I might. I don't know. I might.
What? You need to go back and watch your old video you did.
I know. That's why I was like,
if you get bored of your car, there's a $2,000 DLC that will make you.
If I get bored of my car, I'm just going to change the wrap again.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That might work.
Anyway.
Maybe you'll get in an accident and the insurance will give you all your money back.
I would cry. I was upset when somebody bumped the bumper. I was upset about that. I can't imagine going through what.
No, I don't wish that on you. I don't want that to happen. But I'm just trying to think, like, I'm trying to imagine as we do our weekly bit on the EV podcast, what would make Randy upgrade again? Like, what do you think is going to happen in 15 years?
If I got totaled, if I got in an accident, if I was in Nathan's situation, but it's my lifestyle, I would probably get the Model Y.
Ooh.
I don't want to wait for
Long
the
range?
Cybertruck. Yeah. Here's something interesting. Here's something that I actually need to. I think I would want to update you guys on, and whoever's watching as well. Living at home and working from home, I understand the not need for a long range battery. But last night was the first time I charged my car since the last time I told you I charged my car. So
Wow.
I was
like
at 19%. No, that was like 3 weeks ago.
Oh, wow.
I was at 19% last night, and I have been driving quite a fair bit. I went to go over a friend's house and stuff like that, so it's not like it's just been sitting in the driveway. I do use it almost daily, and I now have a different understanding about what the long range battery would get me, and I love the convenience for it. And I wouldn't change a thing today based off of the car that I have. If I worked from home, or if I was closer to home and I didn't have to commute, I don't think I would get a long-range battery. The exception of like, yeah, cool, road trip, go see Drew, let's go to Apple campus, any of the Apple Park. I get those things, and those are the exceptions where, all right, we'll make stops and charge. But that's a 1 in 365 day, possibility of things. That's not the life of the car. That's not the majority of the car. That's not even a fraction of the car's life. I don't think a long-range battery is a necessary add-on if you are working from home. And I was always on the fence about, Drew, get the long range. You have longer. I get that. I have a different understanding.
So now are you essentially saying it's pretty much, if you work from home, it's only helpful for road trips?
If you work from home, you don't have to plug it in all the time.
You don't need a Tesla. That's my theory here.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I don't drive never. I just don't need to drive anywhere to work. That's all I'm saying.
Knowing what you have in your local city and stuff like that is more than enough for at least a week if you're working from home, maybe even 2 weeks. I don't even
if
road
you were
trips.
to give, okay, because I am honestly still like iffy on after watching a few videos of people like Ryan Shaw did a 700-mile road trip to get married. Congratulations to Ryan.
Hey.
With his long-range Model Y, and he said like, okay, the range of the vehicle when charged up says 316 miles, and his destination was like 210 miles away, and he still wasn't able to get there. Like,
because he went above 60 miles per hour.
Yeah, well, how bad is the range advertised versus what you actually get? I guess is what scares me a little bit more towards like maybe I should just settle with a long range 3 instead of a standard Y or something like that, just because of the range being inaccurate. Like in your experience with driving it on greater distances, would you say it's like 80% what it says?
Higher.
Or 70%? Higher than that?
Higher.
I think it's that accurate?
Yeah.
Okay.
To be
So
fair,
you think
I haven't driven it.
Ryan's was like a anomaly, or
no? I think there's other factors you have to consider about how you drive. If you're not using full self driving, if you put it in chill acceleration and the relax mode, and you're doing the speed limit, I think it's pretty spot on. 90%, I would probably say, and I will say that I haven't gone at 100% and done a trip yet. I plan on doing that as soon as it's not economic, but just socially appropriate to do so and go places. I miss going up to Anaheim or LA. So
yeah, what's the biggest trip you've done with your Model 3?
Santa Barbara.
How far is that for you?
Santa Barbara is north of LA. I think it is
150 miles.
Maybe further, a little bit further, but
You didn't have to charge on that trip?
I did. Yes.
You did charge once.
Was that of choice or because you had to?
No, I had to. When the big mall that I have with the supercharging stations and stuff like that, I went to 100%, and then I got on the I-5 and just shot up north, and I probably stopped 20 minutes before reaching destination in Santa Barbara, and I was at maybe 17 or 12%, something like that. I juiced up and I got there. When I turned around and I came back home, I stopped again in I think Anaheim, and I charged up there. And then Anaheim is just south of LA, and then from Anaheim it got me home just fine. So I charged twice, and that was me driving with full self-driving on. My wife even drove for a little bit, so it was full self-driving. Just to refresh everyone, it's not battery conscious. It is strictly trying to keep the speed limit that you set it and go with the flow of traffic. It does not give a crap about your battery. So full self-driving is just going. And I stopped twice, and I did it probably because I was getting the anxiety of like, ooh, I'm getting kind of close. I had the car for about maybe 3 months at that point, I think, or less. July, August. So June, 2 months. I had the car for 2 months, and I went up there. I did not know the battery that well like that. I was still playing it on the safe side. Realistically, I probably could have just stopped once and made a full round trip. I don't know, but that was the longest I ever went. The battery was pretty accurate based off.
So with that trip, you would have had to stop standard range or long range. There would have been a stop.
You have to stop, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
At some point.
So that's what makes me feel more comfortable about standard range, because there's certain I get in moods, guys. I got to tell you, there's certain times of the day where I'm like, man, we should just go all out with this thing. We should get we should try to find a used long range rear wheel drive so it goes even further than dual motor. And then there's other days where I'm like, you know what? Let's just be the frugal guy. Let's be not Tesla frugal guy. Let's just be the frugal one here, and get the off-menu 35K one. Yes, I'll get autopilot and full self-driving later, but at the end of the day, I'll just lose like 30 miles of range via software, and I'll save a couple grand by going with the off-menu model. But it all comes down to like, will I regret that at some point? Or it almost makes me want to like do the whole 1 week thing where you just have it for less than 7 days and then return it for a full refund and just like drive around some longer than usual trips and see how it feels afterwards with range and how the battery holds up. And because depending on how accurate that that range estimation is, and I'm not in a place where it gets super cold, so I'm not worried about winters, but based on how accurate that is, it could make the difference between, I don't care as long as the range is over 200 miles, it's fine, or I need as much range as humanly possible, you know.
You will regret, regardless of your choice. I regret in the moment. What I mean is, like, in the moment, like, oh man, you get that battery anxiety, like, oh my god, I'm not gonna make it. I should have charged sooner. I should have done that. I could have, should have, and all that. You have a moment of that always when you're doing that. Can I push it? Can I push it? And you'll never have it like, nope, I made the right call. You'll have it in moments the same way, like, oh man, I should have got the long range. Part of me goes, man, I should have got a different car that gave me a longer range sometimes. But then I think about, like, the infrastructure of the charging networks is very elaborate. It's especially in California. Like, you will be fine.
Well, where you are, yes.
I would say if you can get to each car, the lowest range car, can easily get you into the next county, no problem, and still find a charging network. Even outside of Tesla's network, even you download Volta or PlugShare, you download those apps, and there's other charging stations that are completely free, and you can plug in.
I don't mind being the guy on the freeway that's 65 miles an hour either. That doesn't bother me.
Just be in the right lane, and you'll be okay.
Yeah.
You have a whole network out there, free and premium, where you have to pay. You're not gonna have a dead battery no matter what you do. You'll just plan differently. Your trip configuration as opposed to my trip configuration will just be different, but we're still gonna have we'll get there roughly the same time, give or take a little bit. It's just you will have a different route.
I was playing around with a better route planner, as one does on a Thursday evening when he has nothing better to do. And I was comparing the differences between a long-range Model 3 and a tri-motor Cybertruck. And the tri-motor Cybertruck has, advertised of 500 miles of range plus. Yeah. And the long-range Model 3 only has 325 or something, 310, something like that, somewhere in the threes. I don't remember the exact numbers. Sorry, I divert to Drew on that. But actually, the Model 3 got to the destination quicker than the 500-mile range tri-motor Cybertruck, simply because the charging time wasn't as long. With the Model 3, you could do 20%
from power efficiency,
exactly,
from the amount of power the Cybertruck uses.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
And so you had to wait longer to fill up the bigger battery on the Cybertruck. And so the Model 3 on the trip from my house to Randy's house, the Model 3 made it there 30 or 40 minutes quicker than the Cybertruck. Not by much, granted.
That's weird.
But I was just like, okay, 300-mile range Model 3 beats a 500-mile range tri-motor Cybertruck. And the tri-motor Cybertruck didn't have to stop at every little charging station. Like, I was skipping like every other one, and that was kind of cool. Like, okay,
And you brought up a good point about within 30 minutes. It's not that off. We're going to get there at the same time, more or less. You're not going to be hours apart. What will decide hours apart is traffic conditions and stuff like that. Not the battery, not the vehicle itself. Yeah.
Well, I keep reminding myself when I watch a lot of videos, or what Nathan talked about when he had his standard range 3. He's like, I haven't met anyone with the standard range or seen anyone that got that and just went, oh man, this sucks. I can't get anywhere. Like, I always run out of juice. Right. Like, they're always like, no, it's fine. You just got to stop a little more.
I have a friend who has the Model S that's worse than the lowest.
What's his range?
Right now, today, it's like 180 or something like that.
Ooh. Wait, like advertised or like
no,
world?
Where it's at today. His Model S. He has like a 20.
So when he charges to 100%, it says 180.
Yeah, something like that, or maybe 2.
Wow,
it's something really
that
small.
Would make me a little more nervous.
And he goes, but I asked him, I was like, do you freak out about that? And he's like, nah, man. He's like, you learn your
nah, man.
And he goes, nah, man. You learn your car, and you learn how to
operate and
I know
navigate through it.
it's Randy, so you know this name sounds incredibly accurate. This voice is incredibly accurate.
That's how it is.
Guy.
He goes, nah, man, it's cool. What he said was, it's cool. Once you learn how to use your car, man, it works. It just you find a way to get it through.
Well, that makes me feel more comfortable with it.
Yeah.
So
I asked him though, would you got the Model Y?
Oh.
Would you trade it in for the Model Y or the longest range? And he's like, no, I'm cool with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm cool.
I hope you're not insulting him right now.
No, that's exactly how he sounds. In fact, I'll show him this episode, and he'll be like, "Yep, that's how I sound." Yeah, man, that's how I sound. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, man, that's cool.
Huh. Yeah.
So,
okay.
Drew,
Well,
which one are you leaning towards right now?
I think not much has changed since before.
Okay.
I'm very curious to see what they do with the standard range Y, because
Yeah.
there's such a big price gap between the Y and the 3 right now, and production is ramping, and I'm happy to see the factories up and running. And honestly, Nick, I'm kind of hopeful that this sounds horrible, but I kind of hope that there's a recession so that they lower prices to meet, lower demand or something, because then I would just be like, yay, cheaper car. But yeah, I'm very curious to see how they price it, because I think it would be really, really worth it if they were able to get standard range like under 44,000. The more so, the better. 42 would be great. 39 would be amazing. Okay. If it was like 43,990, I would be like, I don't know. That might push me a little bit more towards a 3, or push more people towards a 3, because they have to keep a gap there, given how similar the cars are.
Yeah.
But the fact that the Y is so much better in so many ways, and it's a more popular segment. So, best case scenario, they lower the price of the 3, in which case I would say go with a 3. I would prefer a 3 at that point. But if they don't do that, and they just decide that the standard range Y and the standard range plus 3 can be really close together, yeah, I would rather go with a Y if possible. So, a lot of it just depends on how they price it and when they release it, because it would suck if it was like, super delayed like the original standard range 3 was, how it didn't come out until 2019, even though delivery started in 2017. But I don't think it'll be that long, because production's ramping a lot faster and demand is there. So
Right.
I don't know. It depends on how they handle it. But, sometimes I get in that mood of like, you know what, I should just suck it up, reserve a Cybertruck, and wait for that, because that's clearly the best one out of all of them. But at the same time, I'm like, I'm trying to imagine a time, because I did a whole video on like Model Y versus Model 3, which one should you go, or why opt for a Y instead of a 3.
Right.
And basically everyone's reasoning came down to cargo space. Not Tesla Roadster. That was a car that went to space. But cargo space in the back.
Get out. Go. Goodbye. I expect that from Nick. You're better than that.
Cargo space.
Cargo space. No, not the Roadster. That goes into space. The car goes into space.
Shame on you.
It's interesting watching people's opinion change after owning them, because we have a lot of EV viewers now that are Model Y owners.
Hi, guys.
Which is cool, and more people getting their Ys. But
I'm jealous.
Like, the opinion of why to go with the Model Y has changed since people have owned it. And at the very bottom of the list was like panoramic glass roof. Not that many people care. Heat pump is nice if you're in the colder areas, that kind of thing. The higher ride height, sure, it's a bit nicer. Some people prefer that. But cargo space was like about 50% of the votes after like 800 people voted. So then I thought to myself, how many times have I run out of cargo space in my, Hyundai Sonata? I was like, 0. Okay. So why splurge all this extra money on the Y if it seems like people who have owned the 3 and tried the Y for a long time say cool, but not a reason to ditch the 3. Randy's not going to sell his 3 or traded it in. And most people who already have a 3 don't really see the point, unless maybe you're I1 Tesla and you're just really tall, in which case, sure, go with the 3. Go with a Y instead of a 3. Well, you keep, every time I talk to you, you're like, I don't need one.
I don't need one. That's
all I'm
about to say that in a second here, so keep talking.
I don't need one. I don't need one.
But yeah, once doing that poll and asking people about the comparisons, I come back to that same old discussion we always had. Is like, why are we doing this? It's for the tech. It's for the autonomy. It's for the full self-driving. You get that on the $35,000 Model 3. You get that on the performance Model Y. So whatever little details are in between there, that's, yeah. So at this point, like, kind of leaning towards a standard range 3.
Drew, when you finally stop changing your mind is when you're ready. I'm serious.
I think when we financially have it, the money, that's when we're ready.
Oh yeah, that too. Okay, obviously, but I think
like I would buy one right now if $1 million fell from the sky and it was legally mine. I would be like, okay, 3, or Y or whatever.
See,
or
the
one
fact
of each
that
if you had $1 million.
when you walk away from it and you're not gonna flip flop, you're like, no, I've ran it in my head over and over and over for years. I know what I want. I know why I want it, and you cannot change my mind. And you're talking to yourself. You can't change my mind, Drew. This is what you're getting. Like when you finally feel locked in, that's when you'll. And because you're not the type of guy who's going to be like, oh, but what if the next version? That's not you. You're going to be the guy who says like, all right, what you just said, that's perfect, Drew Taylosive concept of like, well, because you do it with tech as well. You do it with all other things, but you go, okay, cargo space, that's a consideration, and you completely omit the panoramic. Nobody, like, it's cool for a second. You're never going to be going like, wow. While you're driving, you don't. That's not a thing. It's cool for a second. You're gonna forget about it. You're gonna care about everything you just said: full self-driving, the tech, the range, the network of charging, how quickly it charges, how the updates find a way to even make the battery more efficient without doing any hardware changes.
Right.
That's the stuff you care about. That's the stuff I care about. That's the stuff that maybe a lot of viewers also care about. I would say when you are done going, but this one, if price is the thing, then you already have your answer, and you're just waiting to see what happens with the standard range Y.
Well, my indecisiveness comes from Tesla's unclarity, distortion.
It will change in 3 months, in 6 months, a year. It constantly changes.
As soon as they announce what they're doing with the next Model Y standard range, then it'll be, I think, abundantly clear. I think that's when everything will suddenly become very obvious. Like I said, if they priced it at $42,000 or $43,000 for the standard range, I'd be like, okay, that's it, decision made, done. But until they do that, it's going to be on the fence.
Have you looked at the used inventory on Tesla's website?
I have, yeah.
Have you looked at their certified refurbished?
Yeah. I guess it's kind of certified refurbished because they do a inspection with them, and they let you know if they have a clean history and that kind of thing. But yeah, it seems to me Tesla, I made a video on this because I thought it was interesting, but Tesla seems to know exactly how to profit off of the traded in Model 3s. Because what I will notice is that the Model 3s that are standard range and they're not high performance or anything, they will just suddenly add full self-driving to those used vehicles. Mm-hmm. And that makes you feel like they're a good deal, because if you price that exact same Model 3 with full self-driving, you're like, oh man, this is a $55,000 car. But then when you do it used, it's got 30,000 miles on it, it's got 240 miles of range, but it's got full self-driving, so they can justify it being $43,000, and that's kind of how they up the charge, they up the value. And I'm like, from a consumer standpoint, it's kind of annoying, but from a business standpoint, I respect that genius, because they're able to say, no other car has these promises of full self-driving, and what that option at checkout allows you to do. So the one I'm looking at is like mid-range rear-wheel drive Model 3 from 2018, 260 miles of range, not that great. 30,000 miles on it, not that great. But it's $43,000 and includes full self-driving.
Yeah.
So that car could be way cheaper if it didn't have full self-driving, but Tesla gets to profit off of... They basically force everyone to have that option at checkout. So you would save a lot of money if you did used with full self-driving, opposed to buying new and then paying full price for full self-driving. But I'm okay with not having full self-driving for a while. I'm okay with buying it new without it, and then over time eventually add it when we have the money, because that's just a software thing that you can add later. So personally, I would I wouldn't mind waiting on that. But if they do nothing with the Model Y, that might push me to go used.
How
That's
about
where we are
used
today.
off of Tesla's, not off of Tesla's website, like third-party used?
I think I've kind of ruled that out
Okay.
because it's more money than we've ever spent on anything other than like a house. And
Why? You
to
bought
handle
that used?
through- It's true. Certified refurbished house.
Okay.
Yeah, no, like handling that much money to like some guy
in a
or
gas
some
station.
car dealer just makes me like meeting up like a Facebook marketplace sale just makes me nervous of like because a lot of them are like, well, I still have a loan on it, so we're actually going to meet at the bank and then you pay off the loan and then we'll transfer it to, and it just gets really complicated really quickly.
That's
Also,
fair.
Tesla is very slow when it comes to transfership of owners when there's no like when they don't have the car themselves. I read forums and stories about that, and people were saying like it took 2 months just for the app on the phone to work, just because Tesla is really, really slow at being like, oh wait, you're not the owner anymore. Oh, okay, this is the new owner. So
The old owner can
I'm kind of leaning.
turn on the AC and lock the door.
Yeah, stuff, just weird kind of transfership stuff like that. It's just too much money.
I would
for
create
me to,
a second email account, a throwaway account, give the user that email, transfer it in, like, hey, use this for the interim until everything's transferred to you, and then they have complete control over it.
It's a smart idea.
too much money for me to be sending
fair.
to some dude. So that's why I don't think I'd do a third party. But
I think a Tesla, like, third party like transactions and stuff when you're buying from them, I don't think. I feel like there's a compromise issue that happens even if you know the person and you buy, like, there's too much tied to you in the car with your account that can go haywire in so many capacities that I don't think I would want to buy a Tesla from anybody but Tesla. I remember flinching buying an iPhone from Best Buy, for God's sake. Like, I don't even like there's certain things that I feel like should just stay in house, and I think Tesla being a premium vehicle is something you wouldn't buy a Porsche from, Joe from next door. Like, you would want to actually go to the dealership or something.
yeah, sure.
Well, I wouldn't buy a Porsche Taycan. That's for sure.
ever at all.
Ever.
Yeah, but like, there's just some things you just like. If you're paying that premium dollar for it, I totally get it. It's not something that's not something I would want to risk. I don't think I would ever do that. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I'd like to go
Even if it was
new
like
possible.
$5,000
New if-
cheaper.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just because even $5,000 cheaper is still over.
What's the warranty on it?
$30,000
Like,
that you
is
have to-
$5,000 cheaper worth risking something being damaged to the point that's not even covered under warranty? It's going to cost you more. That risk factor. If $5,000 gives me peace of mind, and I get a Tesla warranty of many calibers, even on the used side, it's worth it at that point. I shouldn't be buying. The thing is, in my opinion, just for me, I would not buy a used Tesla if I had the money for a Tesla, just because I'm paranoid of electrical issues still. Even if it's coming from the dealership itself, I want to be the only owner, because how you use the vehicle, I want to break it in. I don't want to use somebody else's washed up has-been stuff. I
True.
don't trust it.
I might consider it with a Cybertruck someday.
That makes more
Going
sense
used.
because it's going to be more durable.
Yeah.
Speaking of,
And there will be different battery chemistry by then. That kind of thing.
we have Battery Investor Day that has been announced.
You guys predicted-
at some point in June.
Now it's not in May. Now it might not even be in June. Just don't be the same day as Worldwide Developers Conference. That's all I'm asking, because I don't want to have to choose between the two.
That would
Or
be a
have
hard
both on the
decision.
same day. That would just be stressful.
Tell you what, we would do if it was on the same day, happening at the same time. Drew, you stream your WWDC.
No,
I'll take.
But I want to watch Battery Investor Day.
Okay, fine. Then
Drew
I'll
doesn't
stream
care
it.
about
One
that,
of
though.
we have to split it up. We have to cover the reins. The network needs to be put to work at that point, and we got to just cover ground.
I will watch both at the same time.
That is very
We'll just
uncomfortable.
I'll have both going, and I got two eyes. I can make it work.
I don't think that's how
back and
eyes
forth.
work. We just see Drew's eyes go.
Consuming both pieces of content. Yes, I could do it.
Wow.
Okay.
But just don't want them to do that. It sounds like Elon wants it to be an in-person event based on his
It's kinda
tweets
sad.
with hyperchange. So that means it more than likely won't be. I mean, he said something like might have to do a webcast next month and then something else months later or something like that. And I was like, I hate this. I hate waiting because there's so many like reports going around about the updated battery cells, the dry electrodes, and the Maxwell Tech and the CATL production of how they're going to get. Did you guys see the report that the battery production is rumored to get below $100 per kilowatt hour?
I didn't see that.
I did not.
Well, that's what they think the long-term plan is with the CATL cells, because that would mean they could legitimately make EVs cheaper than gas cars
Nice.
up front. So if that rumor ends up being true, which there's a lot of people reporting on it, so I feel like it's likely, and they're able to kind of start recycling a lot of the battery packs, and they're able to produce
What
them
are they
for
at,
much
now,
cheaper.
$200 a kilowatt hour?
No, they're a little bit over 100. They're like $120 per kilowatt hour. And the tipping point that most companies have agreed on is that if you could get to $100 per kilowatt hour, you could match the price of gas cars with electric cars, not counting cost of ownership. Throw that out, just upfront price. And with how they're planning on scaling batteries over the, what's his name? I'm sorry. There's a channel that did a really, really good report on it. It's right here. The Limiting Factor. Go check out The Limiting Factor. Because he did a real big breakdown on what they're planning on doing with battery production in the next few years. And it's basically conquering everything at once. It's supposed to help range. It's supposed to help price. It's supposed to help longevity. So much stuff that, like a Model 2, like compact, smaller Tesla, that's $20,000 could be possible in 5 years with how they're scaling batteries.
Model 2.
That would be like the smackdown to gas cars. If we started getting to the point where you could buy electric for cheaper, now you're going to be even more stupid to drive a gas car or buy a gas car new. If it's like, well, you could save money upfront and long term. Gas cars now cost more upfront and over time. So
Will be the day.
it's going to be an interesting decade. And Battery Investor Day, I think, is going to be kind of the kickoff to it, with how they're going to pocket a lot of this profit at first as they aren't able to produce as many batteries, but as demand grows and as they're able to scale production, they can lower prices more and more and more to get to the point where, market dominance. That'll be the thing they got going for them. I'm excited to see it, but man,
Tesla's
it's not happened
doomed.
soon enough.
Yes,
talking
That's
about?
true. I
that is.
forgot.
I saw the article. We all need to sell our Tesla stock.
I don't have any.
We all. Randy needs to sell his Tesla stock.
Never. Not yet. No. You know what's? I think the biggest flex is I will sell one stock, just one, when it hits a certain point, and I'll use that to buy like acceleration mode or something. Like I'm gonna have Tesla pay for itself.
Ooh, there you go. There you go.
That's the ultimate flex. When I do something like that, that's my commitment. I will get the acceleration boost when I can cash out one stock and it pays for itself that way. Then I will do it. So I could say it's literally paying for itself. That's when I'll do it. That's my commitment.
Maybe the stock will grow so much you'll be able to buy a Cybertruck at no cost because of just how the stock has skyrocketed.
That's what my wife is hoping for. She keeps.
Yeah.
Did you buy more? Did you buy more stock? It's gonna blow. Like I never saw her interested in finances, and all of a sudden she's just like, hey, maybe the Tesla stock might pay for the Cybertruck. Who knows?
You think? Have you seen the rumors of the Austin location being decided on that they just haven't announced?
We've gone
it
the
yet?
entire show and haven't talked about this yet. We've literally only been talking about this for the past 3 months.
I tried not to because I wanted to do a video on it, but
I
well.
see. You're going to steal another podcast idea for a video.
steal you guys away. They're all my ideas, though.
They are
How
not.
dare
They're
you!
mine. They're mine.
All right. If it goes in Austin, it makes the most sense, and I would be like, when I tell you that it's making it harder and harder to find reasons not to move there. This would be another thing if I can find work to be some type of On a personal note, I've considered doing a slight career change, and I'm more interested in like software engineering in the last 90 days. Since quarantine kind of kicked off, like right before that, I've been doing research about. After I got my security training, I was like, all right, I want to branch off something more on the software side, and software engineering has caught my eye.
I say that because I had always considered moving to Austin if it was going to be a technical position that I could do maybe from home, ideally from home. And software engineering type of stuff does allow you to work from home. And there's, you got Google,
YouTube
Apple.
and podcasting also allows you to work from home. Isn't that right, Drew?
Hey, man. At the moment we get monetized on the YouTube channel, that's it. I'm putting in my 2 weeks. I'm done. But until then, if Tesla went to Austin and that just gives you one more big company operating out of that city, it's so cool, man. I love it. Austin's the new Silicon Valley's the new everything, the new LA. Texas is great. Like that's
cool. The weird part is they still can't sell vehicles directly to consumers.
Yeah,
Watch
that's going to get changed.
It's going to change.
There's no way Elon. They have so much leverage, and I've been talking about this for months now. So sorry, but
Tell it, Nick.
Yep. So they're going to be using that leverage hard in Texas.
For
they're
sure.
Definitely going to be selling direct to customers. They're definitely going to be getting almost no taxes. They're definitely going to be getting probably free land grants, likely, maybe some cost, but they're using that leverage. I'm so excited to see it.
I agree.
So they got to change the law fast or quick or something.
Yeah. Well, Greg Abbott's already
As soon as they
advocated
announce.
for it, so I think it'll be
The governor?
happening soon. Yeah.
So because I read something about direct to sales somewhere that like it takes a certain amount of time before that like discussion can be opened again. But do you think the
confident on my knowledge of Tesla's Texas Talos of Tesla Texas's specific laws regarding
You're right there,
the
Nick.
direct to consumer, but I'm just fine. Only been talking for 2.5 hours now. That's all.
That's right.
Yeah, so I don't know about their specific setup there, but as soon as the governor's on board with something, typically things move pretty quickly on the legislature side to get a bill passed.
Now, did you see the part of the report about the timeline being extremely accelerated?
Some might say it was Plaid mode.
Plaid mode construction. They want to be more ambitious than Giga Shanghai. So
Giga Shanghai was
cool.
already ludicrous.
Yeah, the
Stop
source
it.
that
Stop
contacted
it.
Electric about the report was like, they want Model Ys coming out of this factory by December of this year.
I got chills, man. That's like almost
Is that
a little bit more than 6 months, guys.
I don't even think it's possible, but I'm just impressed by the ambition.
If there's
Even
any
if they just
company
shoot
on
for that, I'd
planet
be
Earth who
amazed.
can do it, it is Elon Musk and Tesla with all of the leverage. Like before this whole leaving California thing happened, I would have said that no way that could happen because Tesla just doesn't have the incentive to have that much leverage. But now Texas, all of these states, Oklahoma, Texas, Missouri, Colorado, like all of these states are begging Tesla to come. And I think at the end of the day, the financial incentives are great, but Tesla's going to be like, how quickly can we get this done? And there's going to be one state, whether it's Texas or wherever, they're just going to be like, okay, you know what? Here, we already have the permits done for you. You can start digging now, and
But it doesn't sound
we'll ship you
like
the concrete.
it doesn't sound like they're going to be moving into a building that's already up.
No,
right?
it doesn't.
They would
I
still have
hope
to
they
build
don't.
it.
I hope they don't. I hope they
I
build
don't
it.
think it will.
Then how could they build it that fast? Is that even
You could do it. You can do it. The
physically
concrete,
possible?
Yeah, the foundation would probably take 2 to 3 weeks, depending on how many people given unlimited resources, you can do anything in as short a time as you want.
Okay.
Right.
So they got the resources and they got the government support.
Yeah.
So we won't say impossible. I'll just say not likely.
I'm getting more and more optimistic about it the more I see the leverage moving in Tesla's direction. I'm going to say leverage 3 more times for the podcast, and I'll stop saying it. Leverage.
Okay.
Leverage.
The
There you
source from Electric said it is a reliable source they've had in the past.
You know
It
that
just doesn't
source is
wanna
Elon.
Obviously, be
Elon
outed.
just DM'd
Yeah,
Electric.
Elon's just telling
He was
them
just
directly.
like, hey guys, leak this.
So, guys, it's basically Austin. It's been decided. We're just,
We need a
finishing
little
up
bit
the
more
paperwork here. But
bleep to,
it does
to
line
make
up
the
with
deal.
their whole their whole idea of ditching California as soon as possible. That if we're planning on getting out of Fremont, then why would we want to accelerate Model Y production here if we're planning on moving most of our headquarters to Nevada and Texas anyway? So that's why when I read that report, I was like, that sounds somewhat believable that they would be like, we want to get Model Ys out of this thing first, actually, not Cybertruck, because we just want to start ramping Model Y production as soon as possible. And we're now not going to ramp Model Y at Fremont and instead going to ramp it somewhere in the central U.S. so that we're closer to everybody. And then, of course, this would be the factory where they also produce Cybertruck, which if they had a factory up and running this fast, deliveries by end of next year sound a lot more plausible, sound a lot more believable. So it may not be a lot, but it'll be something. So I'm just hoping and praying we get that tweet really, really soon from Elon to just Giga Austin.
Knowing our luck,
boom.
it's going to happen the moment
Austin.
we stop recording.
Yeah, it's going to happen right before we publish this podcast.
Yep.
So all this is dated.
Yep.
I'm refreshing the feed. It's what I'm hoping for. It makes a whole lot of sense, and it would be jaw-dropping if they were able to get a factory up that fast. I want to believe this rumor, even as crazy as it sounds. I'm hoping.
Even if you get kind of close to it, it's still what a feat of engineering that would be to just.
Yeah, even if it's like months late, even if Model Ys were rolling out in April, that would still be.
It's crazy. That's crazy.
Under a year.
Yeah. My goodness. Huh.
Insane.
Crazy amount of speed. But that would shut down, I think, a lot of the short Tesla sellers of being like, when they want something done, they can do it fast.
This is true.
They've got the government support, they got the capital, they've got the demand. That puts them in just a huge position of growth when they're able to pop up a factory in 6 months
Texas
or something.
wins. Austin, the city of Austin, the state capital wins again because it's one more thing they can add under the belt. It's like, look at what we can offer you. Come on, Amazon. Amazon will follow shortly behind, I'm sure. Like there's this is a win-win for
Apple already has
for
a huge campus. If you think their original Apple Park is big, the Apple campus in Austin's almost as big.
It's going to be like Area 51 underground type of a thing. And same thing with
And then Fremont factory won't be HQ anymore. It'll just be that factory that happens to make the Model S, X, and 3, and that's it.
This is the humble beginnings, folks. Where it all
They'll
started.
make it a museum.
Yeah.
For those few of you who still buy Model S and X, you can buy it here. There you go.
And we'll ship it to you eventually.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Well, any last thoughts, gentlemen?
That's it for me.
Elon Musk can do nothing wrong ever. He is perfect human. Is he human, though? We don't actually know. He might be.
He gave birth to XAEA12. So that's a robot,
that name
I'm
is
pretty
really
sure.
popular from the planet, Elon's home planet.
Mm-hmm.
I butchered that.
Very popular. Okay. Thank you all for listening or watching. See you next week. Take care. Bye.